Set number 1. The ATC World Championship final was played to crown the test team of the 2-year cycle 2021 to 23. Two top teams, India and Australia, competed in the final. The combo chart given below shows the runs scored in boundaries, balls faced, and the control percentage for the top 5 scorers at the end of the first 2 innings of the test. So these are the 5 players: Smith, Lab, Head, Rahane, and Jadeja. The blue bars, they denote runs. The pink one as runs in boundaries and not number of boundaries. The green line is about balls faced, and the blue line is about control percentage. Now, if you look at the major grid lines, it's 15 and 35, 55, and so on. So that would mean that there is a gap of 20 between two consecutive major grid line, and there are a total of 4 segments. That means each segment will result in a +5. So that the next line will represent a 20, the next line will represent 25, the next line will represent 30, and we will have 35. So the jump on the left hand side y-axis is +5. Okay. If you look at the right hand side of the y-axis part, it moves from 70 to 74. So the middle point should be 72. And between 70 and 72, we have 4 segments again. So that means a jump of 2% has to be done with 4 segments. So each segment will represent a 0.5 change. So the next one is going to be 70.5%. The next one is going to be 71%. The next one will be 71.5%, and so on. So here there is a jump of 0.5% with every change in the grid line. Then it is also given that with a few notes: runs scored in boundaries, balls faced are given with respect to the left hand side axis. So if we look into runs in boundaries and balls faced, it has to do with the left hand side, while the control percentage, the percentage term, has to do with the right hand side y-axis. Control percentage are rounded off to the nearest integer and are given with respect to the right hand side axis. So those are not the exact values, but they are rounded off to the nearest integer. Now, what is control percentage? Control percentage for a batsman is defined as the percentage of balls faced by the batsman that were either left alone or middled, played with full control. That means out of the total balls faced. The boundaries are either 4 or 6 runs. That is another point. Control percentage for a batsman for non-boundary balls, NBS, is defined as the percentage of balls faced by the batsman that were either left alone or middled out of the total balls faced on which no boundary was hit. The boundaries are either 4 or 6 runs for that as well. It is known that for each player, the control percentage for non-boundary balls are unique consecutive multiples of 5%, rounded off in any order. Okay. So we will look into the language part later on. We will try to understand it better. Let's look at the types of questions that come with this set. First question is, which player had the highest control percentage for non-boundary shots? We have an option which says cannot be determined. In the second one, we have definite options. Third one, 3 definite options. One is both options A and C. Fourth is a C, it's a theta. Fifth is again one option which says both A and B. So most probably we will be able to complete the entire combination or the data required to find out for every batsman, for most of them, right? So there will not be caselets. So this is majorly DI. So if you look into all of the data from here, so let's very patiently write down every batsman. So let's look at Smith. So if you look at Smith, the number of runs over here for Smith is 55, 60, 65. So it goes here at 65 runs. Okay. The number of runs in boundaries is 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So this is going to be number of runs in boundaries is going to be 20. Number of balls faced. If you look at the number of balls faced, which is the green one, this is right beneath 175. So this is going to be 170 balls faced. If you talk about the control percentage, it should be 82.5, 83. So this will result in an 83. So this is 83%. Now, if 20 runs have come from the boundaries, so we can have 2 fours and 2 sixes, or we can have 5 fours. These are the only two ways. So the number of possible boundaries we can have is either there are going to be 2 plus 2 4 boundaries, or there are going to be straight away 5 boundaries. Now, possibilities for balls faced in control. So what is 83% of 170? So that is going to be 83 plus 7 into 8, 56, 57, 58, 86 plus 55, 141. Okay, let's look at lab now. The total number of runs that he has scored is a little, it's plus 5 over 75, right? So this is going to be 80. The number of runs he has done in boundaries is beneath 55, that should be 50 runs. The number of balls that he has faced is above 135, 1 unit, so that should be 140 balls. The control percentage is the blue line for him, which is exactly between 78 and 80. So this should be 79%. So 79% of 140 is going to be 80% of 140. That is 112 minus 1% of 140. So 110.4. So it could be 110 or 111. So it's since it's rounded off, so 79% is rounded off, right? So it could be, if it is 78%, it could be 110. If it was a little above 79%, it could be 111. Okay. So if we need 50 runs from the boundaries, what are the possibilities? So the first one is we can have 2 fours, and then we can have 8, and we need 42, so 7 sixes. Or we can have 5 fours, so that is 20 runs. 30 runs should come from sixes, so that is 5 sixes. Or we can see number of fours is increasing by 3, so we can have 8 fours, that is going to be 32. We need 18 more runs from sixes, so 3 sixes. Or 8 plus 3, 11 fours and 1 6. So the number of balls or possible boundaries could be 2 plus 7, which is 9, 5 plus 5, which is 10, 8 plus 3, which is 11, and 11 plus 1, which is 12. So these are the number of possible boundaries. Similarly, if we calculate for head, this is where he goes. So that is 50 runs. The number of runs scored via boundaries is above 35, so that is 40. Number of balls that he has faced is the green one, which is only 35 balls he has faced. And the control percentage is exactly 74%. So 74% of 35 is, let's calculate 75% of 35. That is 3/4 of 35. 3/4 of 36 is going to be 27. So it should be 26. Now, if we need 40 runs from the boundaries, one possibility we can have is 1 4, that is 4, 36, that is 6 into 6. Or we can jump 1 by 3, so we can have 4 fours, that is 16. We need 24, so 4 sixes. Or we can jump another by 4, so 7 into 4, 28. We need 12. 12 runs would mean 2 sixes. Or we can have 10 fours and 0 sixes. So the number of boundaries could be 1 plus 6, that is 7, or 4 plus 4, which is going to be 8, or 7 plus 2, which is going to be 9, or simply 10 plus 0, 10. Similarly, let's calculate for Rahane. The total runs he has scored is 55. The number of number of runs that he has scored from boundaries is 30. The number of balls he has faced is 115. And the control percentage, the number of balls faced is the green one. So which is 65. and the control percentage is going to be 80%. So 80% of 65 simply means double and double and double of 65, which is going to be 13, 26, and then 52. So this is 52. From 30, for 30 runs, what we can have is 24 plus 6. So we can have 6 fours. So we can have 6 fours and 1 6. Now the number of fours will decrease by 3. So we will have 3 fours, that is 12. 18 more will come from 3 sixes. And we can further decrease it by 3. So no 4 and all 5 of them being 6s. So the number of boundaries could be 7 or 6 or 5. So 5, 6 or 7. Let's talk about Jadeja now. Jadeja, the total number of runs is 40. The number of runs from the boundaries is 30. And the number of balls faced, which is the green one, is 50. And the control percentage, the blue one, is 72. So 72%. 72% of 50, or we can write that as 50% of 72, which is going to be 36. Now 30 runs in boundaries can be calculated in the very similar way as above. That exactly what we had for Rahane. So let's simply copy paste this. So the number of possible boundaries could be 5, 6 or 7. So this is the first part. Now let's look into the second part, whatever the statements was all about. I mean, what they were about. So it is given. So control percentage, balls faced, boundary possibilities, everything is something we have calculated from the mixed chart. Now there is one more term that is left, which is control percentage for a batsman for non-boundary balls, which is NBS, is defined as the percentage of balls faced by the batsman that were either left alone or middle, that is played with full control, out of the total balls faced on which no boundary was hit. So if we talk about the NBS control percentage, one by one, if we look at Smith, so Smith has total played 140, faced 141 balls out of 170, right? And with no boundaries hit, so it could be either out of all 141 balls that he has faced in control, he may have hit the boundaries from these 141, or maybe not a single boundary has come from out of these 141 balls, right? So if none of the runs have come from these boundaries, so the range of NBS control percentage for Smith is going to be, see, if we decrease the numerator denominator both, it will give us a smaller fraction as compared to when only denominator is decreased, right? So if we subtract the 5 maximum number of boundaries that we can have from here, so this is going to give us 136 upon 165, which if we calculate is going to be approximately 82%. So we will need a calculator for this. Or maybe all these 141 balls he did not hit any boundary, right? But the number of balls that were left alone or middle, that is played with full control, this is going to be given as 141 upon 165. If we solve this, if we calculate this using calculator, we will be getting 85%. So we will be needing calculator in this scenario. Now, if we talk about Lab now, similarly, he has faced either 110 or 111 balls, right? Out of a total of 140, which he was in control. Out of these 110 or 111 balls, the maximum number of boundaries he can hit is 12. If all the 12 hits came from, or all the 12 boundaries came from these 110 or 111 balls, that is one scenario, and maybe these 12 boundaries did not come from any of these. Same is the true for 11 boundaries or 10. But if I want to find out the range, The lowest fraction would be if from the smaller numerator, if I subtract the largest denominator, largest number of boundaries, which is 12, out of total of 140 balls that he has played. So this is the calculation we will require. So this is going to give us 98 upon 128, which when calculated will give us 77%. Now, if we want to calculate the highest, we will say that out of 111 balls, he did not hit any boundary out of these 111, right? And from this 140, we will try to make the denominator as small as possible so that we get the highest percentage. It will be as small as possible if we subtract 12 and not 9. So this is going to give us 111 upon 128. If we try to calculate this, this is going to be 87%. Let's talk about head now. Head, similarly, he was in control of 26 balls out of 35, and he can hit a maximum of 10 boundaries over here and a minimum of 7. So if we want to minimize this, the percentage, so we will have 52 minus 7 upon 65 minus 7, so that the percentage ranges are unique. So this is going to give us 45 out of 58, which will give us 78%. Or we can have is not a single boundary came from those 52 control balls. We needed head, right? This is 52, 20, oh, sorry. This I mistakenly calculated for Rahane. So let's write down Rahane, right? And this is going to be 52 out of 65 minus 7. So this is going to be 52 out of 58, which will be 7 more out of 58, which is approximately 10-12%. So this is going to give us 90%. So these are the range of percentage control NBS that we are getting for each of the players. Okay. Let's calculate for head now. For head, we have total 26 out of 35. So this is going to give us 26 out of 35. If we want it to be minimum, we will get rid of the maximum number of boundaries from here. So this will give us 16 out of 25, which is a very easy percentage, 64%. Or we can have the highest percentage control being we need a 10. 26 plus 10 is 36. So it's not a possibility that he did not even score a single boundary out of those 26 balls that he has faced, right? So the highest possible is going to be 100%. Okay. So highest will be 100%. He will be definitely scoring at least a single boundary from those 26 balls, isn't it? There is another way to look at this. We can say that it is 26, but that will be more than 100%. But I'll write it down so that most probably you will understand it. The same calculation, if I do for head, this is going to be 26 divided by 35 minus 10. Exactly what we have done for others. This will give us 26 by 25, which is more than 100%. Which means his control could be more than 100%, which doesn't make sense, right? So the limit we have is 100%, so we will choose that. Okay, so this is the range that we get for head. The last person being Jadeja. So let's find out for Jadeja what is the range we get. So the total balls he has faced is 50. Out of those 50, 36 were in control. Out of those 36, if 7 boundaries came from those 36, so we will have 36 minus 7 upon 50 minus 7. So these were not in control. which is going to give us 29 out of 43, which will result in 67%. And if we talk about the highest, we will leave the numerator as such and we will take the denominator as 50 minus 7, which is 36 upon 43, which will result in 84%. So these are the range of the percentages that we get. Now, if you can recall, it was given in the main part of the question that for each player, the control percentage for NBS, the ones that we were calculating, they are unique consecutive multiple of 5% rounded off any order. Okay. So if the NBS percentage control that we have calculated right now, if we want to look at Smith from 82 to 85, he can only have 85. If we look at Rahane, it could be 80, 85 or 90. So it could be 80, 85 or 90%. For Smith, it's going to be 85. So for Rahane, it can't be 85 because someone has taken 85. If you look at Head, it could be 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, right? It could be any one of these. Out of these, 85 is already taken. So we will remove that. If we look at Lab, 77 and 87, between that we have 80 and 85. Since 85 is taken by Smith, we will have Lab as 80. The moment Lab is taken as 80, Rahane is going to be 90. So 90 is also taken, 80 is also taken. If we look at Jadeja now, between 67 and 84, we can have 70, 75, 80. These are the three values. 80 is not possible. Since these are consecutive multiples of 5%, so right now what we see is we have 80 by Lab, we have 85 by Smith, we have 90 by Rahane. So we can have either 75, 70, which is very much possible by a combination of Head and Jadeja, or we can have 70 and 95 because Head can take 95. We can't have 90, 95, 100 because Jadeja doesn't have a 95. So 100 is not possible. Same reason, we can have a 75 or a 70, that means 65 is not possible. So for Head, we have three possibilities, 70, 75 and 95. And if we look at Jadeja, this is going to be 80, 85, sorry, it could be 70 or 75. One of those two is possible. Let's put these NBS control percentage values in a new table where we will have all the values that we have just calculated along with it. Okay, so let's draw a new table and in that we are going to put everything. So since we have already that Rahane is going to be at 90%, so this is what we will take for Rahane. For Smith, it's 85%, so this is what we will take for NBS control of Smith. For Lab, it's the range between 77 and 87, so we don't know what number to subtract, so we don't know precisely that. For Jadeja as well, we don't know precisely that. For Head, this is what we are going to have between 64 and 100. It could be 70, 75 or 95. So if we talk about the NBS percentage control, for Smith, we are going to have 85%. Right, and the number of possible boundaries is going to be 5 and it's not going to be 4 for Smith. Similarly, if we talk about Rahane, it's going to be 90% for Rahane, and the number of boundaries we will have is going to be 7 and not 5 or 6. If we talk about Lab, it is going to be 80% for Lab. If we talk about Head, it is going to be 70 or 75 or 95. These are the three percentages that we got for Head. If we talk about Jadeja, Jadeja is going to have 70 or a 75%. So this is 70% or a 75%. So let's write this clearly. So this is 70% or 75% or 95%. So we know the number of possible boundaries for two of them, Smith and Rahane, just because the NBS control percentage is a unique one, and those percentages are the percentages that we have already calculated, right? So now let's look at the questions one by one. Question number 1. Which player had the highest control percentage for non-boundary shots? So if we look at the options, we have Rahane or Head. These are the two people that we can have. Now, if we look at Head, okay, so 95% control if it is going to be there. So if you remember from the previous data, from the previous table, it's going to be 24 by 25, which is going to be 96%, right? So this is the least possible of balls faced in control and total balls faced for NBS. So this is one fraction that we have. And if there is a difference of 2, we will have 26 upon 28, which will be 93%. So this is the maximum possible number of balls that he has faced in control and upon total balls faced for NBS. So we can see that this is the maximum that we can have for Head, right? Or this is the minimum that we are going to have for Head. So 95% doesn't actually lie between these. So it's either 93 at most or 96% at least. So there is no 95% between these two values. So for Head, it won't be 95%. So that tells us that Head is going to have an NBS control percentage of 70% or 75%. Same is going to be true for Jadeja. That means for Rahane, it is going to be the highest, which is going to be 90%. So we will carry on this particular thing in further as well, because we did not use a specific condition over here. In order to understand 24 upon 25 and 26 upon 28, you will have to look into the previous range of control percentages that we have seen. So the answer is going to be option B, Rahane. Question number 2. Which of the following is the number of balls faced in control by Rahane for non-boundary balls? So if we look at Rahane, the total balls that he has faced in control is 52 out of 65. And the maximum number of boundaries he can have is 7. So all of these 7 boundaries may have come from 52, or it may not have come from 52. So if you look at the NBS control percentages, this was 90%. And 90% means the entire 52 was non-boundary control percentages. As in, from these 52 balls that he has faced, none of the boundaries came from there. That's how we got 90% if you remember. So the answer is going to be C, 52. All of these 52 balls that he has faced, they were in control and none of the boundaries were scored from it. So the answer is going to be C. Question number 3. Which player definitely hit non-control shots on all their boundaries? So if we look at Rahane, the first option. So in the previous question itself, we have seen that for the case of Rahane, all of these 52 balls that he has faced, none of them had a boundary out of it. So all these 52 were there. So Rahane is going to be there. Since we have an option which says A and C, so let's check out for Smith. For Smith also, we can see that total of 141 balls that he has faced out of 170. None of the 5 boundaries that he has made came from 141. So all these 141 balls were from NBS, non-boundary shots. So Smith is also going to be true. So we will be having the correct answer as option D, because both A and C, they both hold true. Question number 4. For how many of the 5 players we can find out the control percentage for non-boundary balls? So for NBS control percentage, we can find out for Smith, Lab and Rahane. We are not sure about Head and Jadeja, who had 70% or 75% NBS control percentage. Since it's a theta question, so we are supposed to type in 3. So 3 is going to be the answer. Question number 5. Who could have hit the least number of boundaries of the following players? So if you look at the number of boundaries, the least was hit by Smith. Even if we take Lab or Head, it's going to be at least 9 or 7. And for Rahane, we definitely know it's 7. So it's going to be Smith. And if we talk about Jadeja, so for Jadeja, we can have any one of these 5, 6, and 7. So if we look at the control percentage of Jadeja, if we want a 75% control, so what we will need is we have 50 minus 1 of 5, 6, or 7, and we have 36 minus 5, 6, or 7. So this should be equal to 70%, right? If we want to minimize this. So if we take even 5 out of it, so we will be having 31 out of 45, which is almost 70%. And if we take 36 minus 7, so this is almost 70%, right? 45 into 6 is 18. 18 plus 2.5 is 30.5. So it's not 31. And if we take 36 minus 7 upon 50 minus 7, so this is going to give us 29 out of 43, which was less than 70%. So both of them are going to be less than 70%. So obviously he did not hit 5, Jadeja. So the smallest number of, or the least number of boundaries we can have is only for going to be Smith. So it's not going to be both A and B. It's only going to be Smith who can hit the least number of boundaries here. So the answer is going to be option A. Question number 6. For how many of the batsmen the number of balls faced in control can be uniquely determined? So we are looking at the last column. We can uniquely determine for 4 players except for Lab. So the answer is going to be option C.